There's new fallout today from the blistering Senate ethics report on former Nevada Senator John Ensign. He, of course, had the extramarital affair that got him in so much trouble. The report says there's substantial credible evidence Ensign violated the law, and it's raising new questions about Oklahoma Senator Tom Coburn and his apparent role in the cover-up. But what's amazing is the sheer repellent nature of Ensign's behavior. Remember, Ensign is one of those so-called family values conservatives who called for Bill Clinton to resign over his affair. But here, the married Ensign completely lost himself in a romance with a staffer, a woman named Cindy Hampton, who happened to be married to another Ensign staffer. The Senate report says Cindy Hampton did not want to have an affair, but she was on Ensign's payroll, and so was her husband, and she feared for their careers if she didn't give in to Ensign. Wow, that makes it so much worse. Apparently, for secrecy, Ensign listed Cindy Hampton as Aunt Judy in his cell phone, which is super creepy. Also, in 2007, a day after their spouses first learned about the affair, the couples met at the Ensign's home. The guilty parties apologized and, quote, the families then celebrated Christmas together. Wow, thereby creating the most awkward Christmas party in history. But the affair continued later anyway. In 2008, John Ensign's spiritual advisor, Tim Coe, learned Ensign was at a hotel with Cindy Hampton. Coe called Ensign and said, quote, I know exactly where you are. I know exactly what you're doing. Put your pants on and go home. But Ensign said, quote, I can't. I love her. By the way, who's Tim Coe? First question is he Robert De Niro? I mean, what is he, from Heat? Clean up, go home. Clean up, go home. No. It turns out he's a minister for the secretive religious organization known as The Family. The Family runs C Street, a boarding house for certain conservative members of Congress. Senator John Ensign lived there, and so does Senator Tom Coburn. And that raises some interesting questions as well because of his role in the affair. Well, let's talk about that now. Jeff Sharlett joins me. He literally wrote the book about C Street and the group that runs it. It's called The Family, The Secret Fundamentalism at the Heart of American Power. Jeff, let's start with Coburn. How does he get sucked up into this thing, and why is his behavior so questionable?
Well, Coburn gets involved when Doug Hampton, the cuckold, goes to C Street, the family, to resolve the problem. And Tim Coe, and I have to correct one thing, you called him a minister. In fact, he's not ordained at all. He's a spiritual advisor. On what spiritual authority is unclear. But he at least knows one thing, that it's always good to reach up and get more power when you can. So he says, we're going to go to a higher authority. He does not mean divine. He says, we're going to go to higher authority, someone much bigger than me, and it's Tom Coburn, who lives in the C Street house with John Ensign. This building that was registered at the time as a church was tax exempt, used by the family to provide subsidized housing for these very wealthy senators. And Tom Coburn says, I'll step in here and I'll take care of business.
So now people are saying that this might have been hush money that he arranged for. So what exactly did he do? And is he just a guy looking out for a fellow Christian and a brother, or is this possibly, conspiratorial? I mean that in the sense of, like, could he be in legal trouble?
Well, it's important to emphasize not just people are saying that this looks like hush money, but the special counsel to the Senate Ethics Committee recommending that the Justice Department pursue further investigation is saying the idea that this money that was given to the Hamptons were gifts from John Ensign's father is absurd, that there's no evidence, that there's no relationship, and that, in fact, Coburn seems to be at the crux of that. And, sort of one of the most dramatic moments in the ethics report, which, it reads like a Joan Didion novel, is when Tom Coburn, Senator Coburn, at the behest of Tim Coe, spiritual advisor Tim Coe, calls Michael Ensign, this very wealthy casino executive who's John Ensign's father. And Michael Ensign calls his son. The son calls Tim Coe, says you weren't supposed to bring daddy into this. And Coburn subsequently says he never made this call, despite the fact that Tim Coe says he made the phone call, that John Ensign called Tim Coe and yelled at him for having made this happen, that Michael Ensign at first denied making the call, and then later under questioning from special counsel says, oh yeah, maybe that call did take place. Senator Coburn sticking to his story. He never made the call.
Yeah, we have him on tape saying that he wasn't involved, and now we find out that apparently he was. Now, one more thing. This C Street house is amazing. You had Sanford, who just fell head over heels for his lover on the Appalachian Trail or in Argentina, wherever you found her. He lived in C Street. Now, the same thing happens to Ensign. And we got Pickering, who was also involved in an affair. But what I'm fascinated by is how in love they became with their mistresses. What was in the water in C Street?
Yeah, you know, it's some bloggers sort of jokingly call it the Prey Boy Mansion. You know, that it's a kind of romantic place. I should say that Sanford did not actually live in the C Street house. He went for counseling there, and he sent his wife Jenny Sanford counseling for there. And as she recounts herself, the counseling she got from the spiritual advisors at C Street was that she was to let them handle the affairs with her husband, but that she had an important job. She was to keeping him sexually satisfied, and that's vulgar. That, you know, that disdain for women, and you see that same thing, that kind of coercive attitude that Senator Ensign had toward his mistress. There is a sense of entitlement that goes along with the idea that you're chosen for high office by God, and I guess that extends to which women you feel entitled to.
Yeah, how you like them family values? All right, Jeff Sharlett, author of The Family, thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it.